great for her. She's got her foot in the property ladder. Yep, she's got to share the property. Great for them because they're growing up with their grandbaby under the same roof.
Absolutely.
Great for her because she's got babysitters under the same roof. I joked about it when I went out there to see them that now they're a babysitter, and she was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dollars on our mind. Ideas all the time. We might get distracted, but we're building wealth just fine. This is dollars and distractions. If we went off track, just know we're coming back. More money, more mindset, no holding back. Dollars and distractions.
So there's guarantor loans, gifts, first loans, family helping and deposit, conversation, family share first.
Oh, yeah. Even like family is with,
Multi-generational,
yeah.
risks and benefits.
Yes. Love that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Maryanne.
And I'm Bec.
And this is Dollars and Distractions.
The topic is about, I don't know the particular topic, but it's,
We just setting up.
the bank of mum and dad, but we were kind of making it generational because we have seen a trend, like not a trend, but
I think it is a trend. No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a trend.
I think more and more people are buying multi-generational together. And we've got a few at the moment that are doing that. So we've got like grandparents. So we're talking, let's say their grandparents, then their children, and then, grandparents, grandparents,
Grandchildren.
living all together. Yeah. And those, parents and grandparents are pooling their monies and buying a place
As
together.
someone who co-lives, what do I call them? Cohabitates, dual lives.
Yeah, it's dual living, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I am a huge advocate because, I mean, you hear, well, you see when I bring my lunch to it, but you see and hear about all the things that my in-laws do for us to support us so that I can work. It's unbelievable. So I think that more and more people, I don't think it's necessarily, although this is a large part of it, a financial thing. Think it helps financially for everybody, but I think it also helps with the grandkids. There's a lot of learnings and teachings that older generations can share on with grandkids.
Yeah.
And there's that relationship that gets built that, I know my kids, sadly, have, or sadly, I don't know, that's the right word. They have a very different relationship with my in-laws than they do with my parents.
Yeah.
And that is because my in-laws are our housemates.
Yeah.
They see them every day. They know what's going on in their lives. And my parents are on the coast. They love them, but it's a very different relationship.
It can also be very like I'm. It's not for everyone because I don't know if every cooks
In-laws?
generally treat them respect. Not yet, no. But I'm not really. I suppose I'm on the opposite end of you with no family, and that's just what I'm used to. But to me, I don't think that that would be a different world for me to share a space with someone.
I think that the
Not
people
bad, but
involved, I think the people involved need to be unique.
100%. Yeah.
Like, I mean, could you imagine, you saw me when I left the office on Tuesday?
Yeah.
And you already had the vibe that Maryanne's at her breaking point.
Yeah.
And I think I got 10 times worse by the time I got home.
Yeah.
So it's not just my husband and my kids that have stressed Maryanne there. It's also my two in-laws that are like, oh, no.
But could you imagine it's not great leaving that day and going, I've got to stop on the way home and get something for dinner. And then, I've got 3 loads of washing to do, buying the uniform for the kids,
We don't iron in my house. At all? No. All right, look at my jeans. No, we don't.
Not at all.
No, we don't iron. No. Just, My husband will iron, but she just sleep, but I don't iron any.
But I know some people like if you hang it particular ways, and it doesn't.
I remember Jeremy was folding my jeans the other day and he goes, "Oh, you're gonna have to," because this ironing would be something that I would do. And if never picked the, well, Jeremy's like, "You're gonna have to iron these jeans, they're pretty bad." I'm like, "Nah, babe, you just fold them like real tight, they'll be fine. Just chuck them on top and they'll."
Was it like theory? Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh no, any tips would be great if it's like away. I iron everything. So this morning I ironed the kids' uniforms and my jeans before I.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there will be people listening to this that are like, when they hear that I don't iron.
Each to their own. Doesn't matter. But then listen, but we don't judge. That was great. Where's that from?
I don't know.
A real.
I don't know. I see it on reels all the time where someone will do something or say something absolutely ridiculous and then someone stitches it and goes, "We listen and we don't judge," which is pretty much them judging without actually saying a right thing.
It's you like when people go, "Oh, this doesn't. I don't mean this in a judgy way, but blah blah blah." And you're like, "That's just a disclosure because you are actually being judgy. You're just trying to say that you're not." Anyway, digression was about multi-generational
Yes.
living. Well, not for everyone, but at the moment, yeah, the cost of living and the cost of housing and the cost of makes sense.
Well, let's go through some examples. So, what about, I think it was late last year, we had that client who was trying to buy a house for her and her son. Or do you remember this one? Trying to buy a house for her and her son. So, she's single mom, she's working hard. Yes, but the property price she was looking at, I think we were looking at it maybe 400, 500,000 buy it.
Yeah.
And she,
Which on reflection generate, I'm going to digress him.
isn't it?
13 years ago or wherever it was, like buying my house in Mount Cotton, it was 480,000.
Yeah.
So when you hear someone now go, "Oh, she's only got 500,000," it doesn't sound like much.
But then remember her parents were like, "Well, hang on a minute. We want to sell and we want to dual live. And that if we do this with our cash injection, we can actually look at," and they end up buying near us.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
And so it's great for her. She's got her foot in the property ladder. Yep, she's got a share of the property. Great for them because they're growing up with their grandbaby under the same roof.
Absolutely.
Great for her because she's got babysitters under the same roof. I joked about it when I went out there to see them, that now they're a babysitter, and she was like, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But you're right, because then it opens up the door from this. You can't find property as a single person. You couldn't find a property and unless you're on a really great income, I don't think this world right now is for living. It's just, and not to say that that's just single mums either. I don't want to single that. But if you're a young person as a first home buyer, it's not feasible at the moment unless you're buying on islands or, there are ways around it. But I think it opens up. She then went from a $500,000 house to a $1.5 million house, which is just opens up a whole nother, there is dual living. There's more bedrooms. There's split little, houses now are being more like the one we just brought is dual living. You could set it up for dual living. Now, the one you brought, it's set for, and I feel like that's going to be the way.
Absolutely. Especially when we have a housing, I don't want to say housing crisis because we have a shortage, but we do not have enough houses for people. So either you can, like the dual living factor is instead of having two houses occupied by two families, those two families, if they can live together,
Yeah.
are in one property, which frees up one house for someone else to go and live in.
And in perspective, I think we have 3 or 4 applications on the go right now that are utilizing that. One of them is building a granny flat on his, build a granny flat on his property for his kids. So he was just so that they,
Them out of the house. No, yeah, and the beautiful kids stay there, a flat too. But
us as parents looking forward, it's going to be a world that we will need to help them more than probably past wise. So there's those, and there's the 5 people applying all together, which is the multi-generational living, utilizing all their cash.
this is something that when I first became a broker, I saw a lot of like islander families were already doing this.
And I was gonna say before, I reckon as I don't mean this in a racial way, but as Westerners, we are probably one of the only cultures that don't really
embrace it as much.
No, like I don't want to get too into it because it's not me being judgy. It's like, the Chinese, they um raise their young, they put all the into the young, but then the expectation is for them to look after their parents as elderly. Like that's how they run. But whereas Westerners, we don't really.
It's almost like we're too independent.
Yeah,
And it really does take a village
it
to,
does.
to raise a family.
Yeah, otherwise you like being rich. Sometimes you pull your hair out, going like, we've got to do this, maintain careers, do whatever, and you end up. Yeah, but
Run the ball on something.
what
We don't know, but yeah.
to me, the Islanders have it right. They all contribute. They all
I just so I even
work
heard
together.
client who bought the so she has her place, and I think her sister co-lived with her, and then she bought the house behind as an investment, but mum and dad moved into that, and it was like I remember going there to do the application, and I think mum and dad were renting that house and they wanted to buy it, and that's what we were doing. And there was like a gate in the fence. So the kids just
Echoes that.
oh, and then it was someone's night to cook dinner, so they all just knew at this time you're at that house and that person's doing dinner. And I just think budget wise, dinner's not on you every night to cook it. It's shared amongst the whole it was like a village. And I just thought, my gosh, we're missing something. Okay, that's beautiful.
We've been talking about well, we've got a few woo-woo people around us, hey, but I've noticed a lot more talk about. No, I don't mean like but it's actually refreshing.
Yeah.
But in when you look at your own children, that when you think of setting them up, you think, well, if we had a communal kitchen, and I'm not saying that I would look like that, but I guess that's the version of that people are doing, is buying places that they can all,
Or contribute. And share the expenses. Rates these days are what, $1,500 a quarter? I don't know. Yeah, depending on where you live.
between four people.
Yes, that between 4 people. It's not so, oh my goodness, we have rates.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier to, water, electricity, internet. Again, instead of having two houses with two internet connections, you've got one house, one internet connection, and you share the expenses. So there's lots of perks.
Yeah.
There are things that need to be considered as well.
Absolutely.
There are some cons. And I think the very first one that I talk to every client who talks about wanting to do this is to speak to a solicitor. Yeah. And we have amazing ones that we can recommend. But the key there is this solution might work really well right now.
Yeah.
But what if something changes? So let's take the example of that young mum who wanted to buy a house. Maximum she could go was 400-500. She would live with mum and dad, now living in a 1.5 house. What happens if she gets a partner?
Yeah.
So does that partner want to move in, and then are they automatically entitled to her half? Or
And what if mum and dad had other kids
what if mum and dad have other kids?
and in the estate? Who are they? Are they leaving it just to her, or
And if they're not leaving it just to her and those kids want to, so let's say there's two other kids and those two kids want their money, but she can't afford to buy them out, is she then homeless?
that's exactly right?
There's a whole heap of stuff that needs to be, and this is probably, this would be an awkward conversation to have. I guess this is more, you would have it either way, but more important if everyone's going on the title. If it was just one, like let's say mum and dad said, oh, we'll go on the title, we'll own the property outright, but you can come live with us. It's probably different, but you should still be having conversations about what happens if and when, and who's paying for the furniture, so that if we leave, do I own all the furniture, or do you own? Just getting that out there.
And do you know, on a side note, that maybe that's another podcast that we can do based on that, because even like, I think it's what used to be like a prenup, like it is now called a buyer financial agreement.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a swear word anymore. Back in the day, it was kind of like, oh, I want a prenup, like, but in all different circumstances now,
I think a connotation. It had a connotation that it was only for really rich people.
you don't trust me.
And it was only because you didn't trust them and you wanted to protect your money.
Yeah.
I think now everything's evolved. So there are blended families who it's but these aren't easy conversations to have, but you need to be talking about, well, if I die, does everything I own go to my partner and then it gets split between their children? Yeah, does it go to my children? These are,
And if you didn't know, you wouldn't know until the time came when you had to do that. So like, that's my plan. Like it's not a swear word to us. Like a BFA is important.
It's almost like doing your taxes, getting your self-made super funds,
Get a will.
get a will.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. But I think more as people, um, and you're right, we're evolving. I think back when you think of purchases, it was mum and dad, you know, partners, but that was a bit more vanilla. Like it's okay, if something happens to that person, this is what you do. But as we move to more multi-generational living and the way the world is evolving, legal advice is important
Absolutely.
to cover everybody, not just one, just cover.
But also, I like in that circumstance, and I am in it, I want to know, well, what happens when. So we have not that I know I teasing this, but we have our backup plan. So if my in-laws ever say, "Hey, this isn't working," we're like, "Cool, no drama."
So it's not just me, there's a backup phase.
I absolutely have their backup. I'm going to be neighbors with Beck. You have to,
Yeah. I'm going to play golf.
but I think for me, it wasn't right for us all to go on the title. That was never because there was so many.
But that was discussed, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if that was something where I was I, I would done it if we had to, but I prefer the way it is now. I absolutely prefer the way it is now. That nobody's letting someone down or anything like that. And yeah, so much easier. But it's each to their own. And I had the unique ability that we still had other things in the market, so I wasn't like, oh no, I'm renting and rent money's dead money and I've got nothing. So I was in a unique position. Whereas if there's some people that don't have anything in the market, can't get into the market, and if going on the title with mom and dad is going to help, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. So not necessarily that's a con of buying altogether, but it's just something to be aware of as well, because there are different things to think of when you've got multiple people buying. And if there is conflict at some point, how is that going to be? Families don't have conflict. Oh, yeah. I'm realizing that they do. I haven't always had a lot of family, but I'm realizing in an extended, yeah, families are different. But what happens when she goes wrong? You've got to have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
That's not being pessimist either.
I think I'm just blessed that my in-laws can read my body language well enough to go, I'm just not engaging with her right now. And this morning they would have been like, "Morning." Can they know that I'm back to normal and everything's okay and the stress is now gone?
Yeah. So that's, I guess then, um, that's one way of using. I think the topic was using bank of mum and dad. I don't really like that words, but like different ways of buying with using family support, because there's other things like not using, but guarantor support. Using mum and dad.
I think we've got 2 of them on the go at the moment.
Yeah, using mum and dad's house as security to avoid a deposit.
One of the ones that we're working on, the guarantors and the mum and dad had already got a guarantor for the son. Okay, they went guarantor, did it not long after, kicked him off because the market. So then talking to the mum, because obviously we have that appointment with the parents or the people going guarantor to say, hey, do you actually know what you're up for and how it works? And let's talk real talk for a minute. And she was more pushy than the kids. She's like, I need to get them in. Whatever I've got to, I've done this before, not my first rodeo. I know what's involved. Let's just get an application when I need to get them in. And I was like, this is so strange. But yeah, it's interesting that,
Because I too think I know this off the back of the other one, but I think at the moment the hype at the moment in the air is, property prices are doing this and this, and it just has created such an urgency around. I feel
yeah,
an urgency around either not. Do you know what I mean? Like get in the market with certain things, and the budget has changed this and.
which is somewhat relevant because it's only going to be the right time. Other podcast episode talks about this. It's only the right time and it's the right time for you.
Yeah,
So it's not about all that outside noise,
yeah, that's exactly right.
but it can get you very worked up.
Yeah, and I think like every podcast topic, I don't know why it comes.
Are you going to say get your pre-approval?
No, I was going to say like the power offended you. I know, because I was thinking in my head, what was I going to say? But I was thinking, the power of a conversation, just to know what is, because I think right now, again with those voices going around everywhere, is the world is telling you, no, you can't do this right now, but you actually might be able to, because the beauty of our ADD brains is we can think outside the box. It goes, do you have this available? Is there a moment, if the mum and dad have a fluffy you could utilize? You know, throwing options around with somebody like us otherwise you may not even know what's available scheme wise.
So one of the things on my to-do list today is a client who called me up and said, we're thinking about buying with mum and dad, sister, brother, etc.
Yeah.
Just want to know how that even works. And it's
Yeah.
really early stages, which is what I love. I love that early stages part. Then I said, sure, send to me everything. And then I'll play with, okay, we've got this scenario, that scenario. If that person came on, if that person didn't, I can run all the numbers.
Yeah.
And then we'll meet face to face with everyone and go through it all together so that everyone's crystal clear on what the options are. Yeah, but you're absolutely right, because I don't necessarily want them to come to me with this is what we want to do, because that may not fit.
Yep.
And then I'd rather them come to me and say, look, you're the expert, just give us options.
Yeah.
And then I can come back and say, we've got this, 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 and this is what they all
And to that option might not be right now, but it might give you the, ability to then go, okay, well, there's a pay rise coming up in 6 months. This is how much we can borrow at that point. Or we need to save this amount, like in future planning too,
Yeah.
Or, yeah, you might find out you can actually do it more than you think
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've had instances where I've come with outside the box solutions, like the Help to Buy scheme. Hey, your borrowing capacity is this much, but look, if we do the Help to Buy scheme, this is what it actually looks like, and it's a better scenario. Yeah, and then gives that to the client, and they can go away and think about what they want to do. Yep. Yeah, it's really. I love that early stages.
Yeah.
Phone call, because it's not.
It's like discovery.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not, I've signed a contract. So once they come with, I signed a contract, I'm now not looking at, oh, what are all the things that I'm looking at what lender is going to give us the key things that you're after, but also us speed. Yeah. And so it may not be the best interest rate in the market. It may not be, I've looked at all the options and this is the best option, or.
But isn't it interesting though, like being on this side in broking, that you notice, like, even the conversations or the appointments you've had in the last few weeks, a lot of them are first home buyers. And then as soon as you've had that conversation to go, this is what it looks like, when they come in, they're going, oh, we just want to see, what's happening. But like, next thing you know, next minute, they booked a Guarantor appointment. Next minute, there's a contract. What did you say?
Go back next
Minute.
minute.
That used to be that was a trend thing at a time. I don't know where that came from. Like, minute.
Anyway, that was cute.
Yeah, so, but then they come in with a collector into sale, right?
That guarantor that was super, super keen came in, met the applicants, beautiful, left, said, yeah, let me know what you think. I'll send you a recap on what we chatted about. I think it was like 2 days later. She's like, Mum and Dad booked a meeting with you. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And now we're working on an application.
Yeah.
So it's boom, 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 boom.
And I guarantee you, within a month, there'll be a contract.
They're going to be so good, because I gotta get the pre-approval in, then they're going to sign a contract, and that's going to.
But it also has just given them the ability to go, okay, well, this is what we could do. We can do. Whereas before they might have been, we're looking, but we're not, or this is an option or not. But just that ability to have that conversation.
I think it comes back to what we talked about in the last podcast, when you can block out all that noise. And I think that conversation helps you to go, stop getting my advice from Instagram reels or TikTok reels. What can I do? What are my options? Right, let's narrow it down and then see what fits best for me.
And I think we do that pretty well. Like, I know I don't really listen to outside noise, but even like we were saying the other day, like, I wonder if any other broker is as busy, because they're not running off anybody else's.
Yeah, I have spoken to a few other brokers, and they're apparently not quite as busy.
Oh,
Which is interesting. But then I honestly think, because we are aimed at first home buyers, and they very much need to get into the market when they need to get into the market, and it's not so much they can be naive sometimes. Yeah. So you think about someone who's been in the market before, or already in the market, and they've experienced interest rates at 2.5%. Yeah. Now they look and go 6.9, 6.9. That's not that high, but they look and go, what? Over 6%. That's ridiculous. Whereas a first home buyer, I remember when I got my first property, it was 8 point something percent.
Yeah.
And I only realized that years later when I found the loan contracts, read it, and went, I said, what now?
Yeah.
I never questioned it. I never looked. I never cared. I looked at the repayments and went, yep, I can do that. I'm getting my first home. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. That's it.
It isn't funny, like, the generational, like, because they all say it to us, like the older the more mature generation, they'll say, our interest rate was 18%, but they all just knuckled down and they worked and they didn't they just picked a house. You find that more with older generations. They pick a house and they live in it for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
They don't move from it, but they are the ones that generally pay it off. But they've just gone, all right, well, this is our house. This is what we have to do. We just pay it every week, regardless of the noise, the rates. Like, it's just, I think if you can drown that out and just, you have a goal and a purpose, and this is,
Yeah,
yeah, you can drown it.
I agree. It's slightly different because their incomes were also in ratio, yeah, a lot better. But yeah, it just comes down to looking at the repayments and can you afford it? And then, like you said, once you're committed, you'd be surprised how we can make things work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. That just, to me, that was just an option of knowing there are more options um, out there than you might think in terms of, family support.
Yeah, yeah. And I think to touch on that just quickly, the most common theme I see, not just with first home buyers, but mainly with first home buyers, is they haven't had any conversation with family.
Yeah.
And so opening up that communication, you might find that the their parents might be thinking it's time to downsize. We're getting too old for this property. And that coincides with the same time as the first home buyer saying, well, I want to get into the market. What can we do together? Is there an option? Or I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to a client and said, look, if you had guarantors, this is what it looks like. You could actually apply tomorrow. If you want to keep saving, this is what that looks like. They'll call me the next day and go, I spoke to mum and dad. And mum and dad said that they're more than happy. They'll do whatever they need to do. And as long as they don't have to put cash in because they don't have it or what have you, they're on board.
Yeah. And I think, like, it has been, um, listening to them, like, it has probably been more known with first home buyers that mum and dad use their property and then, but I think people even our age, like, to know that that's available, because as they get older, the parents, there is that time where they're going to need care as well. So, like, at our age, our kids are getting older at some point.
That's right. Jeremy keeps telling his mum that he's sending her to a nursing home as soon as she's at that age. It costs too much, but then he says, but I will come pick you up about 3:30 so you can come back, cook dinner, and then I'll drop because I have to do.
He would never know. But it goes to show that there are, like, it's not just your younger generations, it's like, yeah, mid-age, older. It's a way of, we are an aging population, so the older generation are going to be pushed more to live independently.
And how good if you can have a family member, like an older parent living with you, that, you might start to pick up on some dementia type habits or something like that where you're like, hang on. Or, I had a client on the weekend tell me about how their father was very old school. So from what they explained, it sounded to me like an old school farmer type man who's like, well, I don't need the hospital. I don't need this. Oh, there's pain up my right arm. No, suitable fight. It kind of sounds like that, right?
Yeah.
And every part of me was like, I would want you living with me. So I could be like, hang on, there's something going on. Yeah, well, let's get you to the hospital. Yeah. Look, yeah, it helps both. Yep, I agree. Well, I think that's a wrap. That is a wrap.
Dollars on our mind. Ideas all the time. We might get distracted, but we're building wealth just fine. This is dollars and distractions. If we went off track, just know we're coming